And welcome back to the 7 round mock draft series here on my channel. Today we're going to be doing my personal favorite team, the New York Giants. The New York Giants are in an interesting spot. They have the 4 pick. They won their one of their last games against the Redskins that kind of made them decide where the picks were going to be. So they could have had 2, got 4. They might be trading back, might be trading up. We don't really know what's going to happen with the Giants. All we know is that they're in a prime spot to get a good difference maker for their team. And if you do like this video, make sure to leave a like down below. Leave a comment down below which team you want me to do next or how you feel about this draft. Maybe give your own mock draft for the Giants on the comment section below. Of course, subscribe, and if you do want to keep up with all the new videos that I'm doing, make sure to hit that notification bell as well. And now that the combine's going on, I'll have a combine video coming out going over how the combine went, best players, worst players, and just kind of do another mock draft after that as well. So look out for all of those. But without further ado, almost a minute in, we're going to be going into this mock draft. At pick 4, we got Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons is a difference maker on that defense. He could play the nickel, he could play the safety role, linebacker. You could probably even line him up on the edge, and he'll play just as well. The reason why I have Isaiah Simmons here, and I have him put down as a safety, but really, I think he's going to be playing linebacker for the Giants. It's really simple. He plays everywhere on the field. The Giants have this issue on defense where they have no one. They have young players, and that's it. Right now, they have the least amount of money paid to defensive players. I think they have a little less than $30 million, but I think it's like $25 million actually. The next lowest team is the Buccaneers with 45. So it just kind of shows the Giants don't really have much invested in their defense. The defensive line is really the only thing that's pretty much set because they have guys like Dalvin Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence, and Leonard Williams there. So getting an edge rusher would be good, but other than that, everything else is pretty much up for grabs other than the strong safety position in Jabril Peppers. But the reason why I have Isaiah Simmons here is because I think he'll be sliding down to kind of do a Chargers defense to where he's going to be this safety type player, but he's going to be playing right in the box. Same thing with Jabril Peppers. I think he can be in the box whenever he needs to, so they can really alternate out there. He would just be able to control the defense, be a leader on that defense, and probably be an instant captain. We haven't had a good linebacker for a long time. Ogletree had one solid year. Other than that, he wasn't really much to talk about. B.J. Goodson wasn't much to talk about. We had a good year from Ryan Connelly this year until he got hurt a couple games in. So Isaiah Simmons will really be that difference maker on the team. I think that getting him will kind of get a leader on the defense and kind of start building up this defense to have a very young and solid core through Isaiah Simmons. So at pick 4, Isaiah Simmons is the pick in my mock draft. Now we move on over to round 2. At pick 36, I have us taking Austin Jackson out of USC. Austin Jackson, he could have stayed in another year, came out this year, and I think it's going to be the right move for him because his talent outweighs his draft stock. It's a pretty solid offensive tackle class. It's pretty stacked. So at this pick, there could be a bunch of different ways the Giants could go. They could go for an inner lineman, maybe a Cesar Ruiz or a Lloyd Cushenberry, or maybe Biadasz if he's still up there. They can go for a tackle, obviously, like I have him here, or they can go in the defensive side. Maybe look for an edge rusher like a Terrell Lewis or a Gross Matos or somebody. Even a corner, maybe if AJ Terrell looks enticing. There's a lot of ways you can go at this pick 36. But for them sitting there right now and Austin Jackson being on the board in my mock draft, I haven't taken him. Tackle help is needed for Daniel Jones. He had a lot of fumbles last year, and a lot of them were due to him not being able to hold on to the ball right when he takes the hit, but a lot of them were just a lot of blindside hits that he just was not able to avoid, and that had to do with our offensive line. If we keep Solder, if we don't cut him, which I don't think we're going to, I think we're going to keep him on the team. I think that he's going to be decent on that side, but Austin Jackson, either you slide him over to right tackle because we don't have one right now, or maybe switch Solder over to right tackle, do something to figure out what you can do, but we need help to get this offensive line. You have Zeitler, you have Hernandez on the left guard position. So the interior is pretty much set. Jalapeno plays solid when he's there, but we could still use another center. I think getting a guy like Austin Jackson will really bolster that offensive line. And a lot of people have the Giants taking offensive line in the first round. So getting Austin Jackson in the second round after getting Isaiah Simmons would be a money pick for David Gettleman. Now in the third round, like I just talked about, Lloyd Cushenberry at pick 98. Now, will he still be on the board this late? I'm not sure. We don't know how the center market is really going to fly this draft. But if he's still on the board, which he was when I was doing the mock drafts that I was doing, basically how I come up with these mock drafts is I do several different 7 round mock drafts on multiple sites, and I do the picks, and how the board always kind of settles out, or what picks I'm usually getting, is where I go. So I was getting Cushenberry a lot at this time, so hopefully he's still there. And the reason why I have him, I mean, LSU had a great year. They didn't lose one game. He's a very solid prospect in the center position. I think he's one of the better center prospects there. I think he could fight for that number one center role with Ruiz and with Biadasz, but out of the three, I think that he's probably the third one to go. There's other centers as well that I'm probably forgetting, but the center market's just weird because interior line really isn't the biggest need for a lot of teams. So getting a Lloyd Cushenberry at this pick would be huge. It would just solidify that center role because the Giants have been switching between Pulley and Jalapeno at center position for so long, for a couple years now, with Jalapeno and Pulley both getting injured, and it's just been a lot of problems. So getting Cushenberry will provide stabilization for the team, and will make sure that we have a line set. Because now, I mean, if you look at the line, I mean, Solder, Hernandez, Cushenberry, Zeitler, Jackson, that's a way better line than we've had for a little while, and I think that that's going to be great for Daniel Jones to be protected by. Now, in the 4th round, I have Brandon Jones, the actual safety out of Texas, at 107 for the Giants. I said actual because obviously I had Simmons up there listed as a safety, but I think that Brandon Jones is more of a free safety type, in my opinion. I think he'd be able to slide into the free safety role, and I know a lot of hardcore Giants fans out there like me that I really had a solid grade for Julian Love last year coming out into the draft, and when we got him, I was excited. And when he had his rookie year, he played very, very good for where we got him in the draft. The thing I love about him is that he could play corner as well as he could play safety, in my opinion. So if we slide him into a corner role, make him a third corner, or maybe a slot corner or something, I think he would play very well in that role. We could run different safeties if we want to run Peppers and Simmons in the box like a Chargers defense does. We could have Brandon Jones and Julian Love back there. There's different ways to go, but overall, looking at the board, Brandon Jones is a solid prospect here, and I think that he can have just as much of an impact as anyone else on this team. And I think that just getting more and more players on the defensive side is going to be key. And getting a guy like Brandon Jones at this point in the draft would be huge for the Giants, and I think that they would create levels for them. So be able to move people around, kind of figure out where they want to fit in training camp. And Brandon Jones, maybe he'll be a good corner. We don't really know. So to have him there would be a solid pick for the Giants to just keep on bolstering up what needs to be a better defense next year. And speaking of needs to be a better defense next year, 5th round, 150th pick, Dane Jackson out of Pittsburgh. These smaller schools, ACC, they don't always get the looks that a lot of other teams, even in their conferences, do. Especially Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh, they had Larry Fitzgerald come out. Other than that, I couldn't name you another Pitt athlete off the top of my head. But Dane Jackson's a solid guy. Very quick. He plays taller than he is. I think he's like 5'10". He's very good at press. He's obviously got a lot to learn. That's why he's in the 5th round. But overall, I think he had a solid season for Pittsburgh. It's just the fact that he needs to get more consistent with his game. He can't be getting beat as much as he does sometimes. He needs to make sure that he can get his hands on the ball and create more deflections as well. So Dane Jackson, I think, is going to be a solid prospect. I think that he could be a guy that comes in and kind of like what we wanted from Sam Beal, to get him late in the draft, develop him, and make him a starter within a year or two. And with how much playtime there is for the Giants, he could show out in the training camp in the preseason and get a good job for the start of the team, because I don't know how much we're going to invest in the corner position in the free agency. We do have a lot of money, so a lot of these picks are going to be just helping the team as much as we can. Now in the 6th round, I have us taking another linebacker, and that's going to be Davion Taylor out of Colorado. Now Davion Taylor, the reason that he stood out to me compared to the other guys at this point in the draft is his size. Even if you just look at his picture right on the right side of the screen, he's a smaller build. He has an Isaiah Simmons type of build where he's thinner, he's quicker, and he's still strong, but he's very quick. He's versatile. He can go into coverage and stuff more than you're going to want him to shoot the gap. But I think with him and Simmons, that's something that they could both do. Now, do I think he's going to be a starter? Probably not. He's a 6th round pick. But having Davion Taylor there is something that would just kind of help a lot, due to the fact that you're going to have a guy similar to your number one guy. So let's say Isaiah Simmons unfortunately goes out with an injury, which I pray doesn't happen if we get him. But Davion Taylor is a guy who has a similar build, has a similar play style where he'll be able to do a lot of things that Simmons did, just not at the level that Simmons did. Maybe he'll do it at a good level as well. We don't know. I mean, obviously, these are all just prospects. We don't know exactly how good they're going to be until you take the chances on them. So Davion Taylor, I think, would be a solid fit, and that's why I have us getting him out of Colorado at pick 183. Now, in the 7th round, yes, we do have kickers in our mock drafts here. And in the 7th round at 218, I have the Giants taking Rodrigo Blankenship out of Georgia. If you're a diehard Giants fan like I am, and you sat there and watched every one of their 16 games this year, you knew that Aldrick Rosas fell off a cliff this last year. From last year only missing one kick and going to the Pro Bowl to this year, it's when we brought Rosas out, I was like, oh no. Because it was more, I was more expecting a miss than I was a make. He was missing easy field goals, 30 yards, 40 yards. Obviously, these aren't easy field goals for people like me, but for a kicker who was just in the Pro Bowl, who was literally named the best kicker of his conference the year before, that's something you got to make, and he hasn't been doing it. So getting a guy like Rodrigo Blankenship, who I think is kind of known as just the best kicker in college. Some people debate that, but personally, through me, I think that he is. Getting a guy like him in the 7th round kind of creates that opportunity for him to take the job from Rosas. You can clear out some cap space with Rosas, and from there you can go and do what you want with that. I think that he'll be a solid kicker. And, kickers in the NFL, if Blankenship doesn't work out, if Rosas still isn't working out, you go and find another one, and then you go and find another one, and then you go and find another one. The kickers are very rotatable. You saw the Falcons, they got Younghoe Koo halfway through the year after letting Matt Bryant go, who's a legend. And Younghoe Koo had a good, solid year. He got another deal for this year. So if he doesn't have a good year this year, they'll cut him. They'll get another guy. It's just how it goes. So getting Blankenship here, I think, would be solid. We do have 2 more 7th round picks, so you might as well get the first one, get a kicker. That way you can get that out of the way, get the best one, and make sure that other people who are going to take kickers and stuff in this kind of late in the draft, it won't go. So hopefully he's still on the board. He was still on the board for me, and we get a kicker in Rodrigo. Now, at 238, still in the 7th round, I have us taking Arizona quarterback Khalil Tate. Khalil Tate was a guy who had the biggest expectations in the world coming out of Arizona. I hate saying Arizona, but the reason why, he was an early Heisman candidate. People had him in the preseason ranking as a Heisman candidate. People were expecting so much from this guy, and unfortunately, he was just not able to get it done. U of A, they've had some decent prospects throughout the years. They had solid players, but overall, Arizona's been a pretty poor football team the past few years. So unfortunately, I don't know if that has a lot to do with Khalil Tate necessarily, or if it has to do with the people around him. I think him and J.J. Taylor were pretty much the only talent off the top of my head that I know of that should be like NFL caliber. So getting a guy like Khalil Tate, I think that you're banking on potential. He had that potential to be one of the best college quarterbacks. He probably has the potential to be a solid backup in the NFL. And like I love teams taking late quarterbacks, like how the Jags did with Gardner Minshew, because why would you waste money on a backup quarterback when you have to pay them, $4 or $5 million to back up and maybe never even play? So getting a guy like Khalil Tate will help have another young guy in the locker room, will help him be a backup to Daniel Jones. And I think that he has a little bit wider of a game plan not game plan, like a, you know what I'm trying to say. I think he can do a little bit more than what Daniel Jones can do, just way at a lesser level. I think he can run the ball a little bit better than Daniel Jones, even though I love Daniel Jones as a runner. But I think overall they're similar type of game. Obviously he doesn't have an arm, not even close to Daniel Jones, but to get a guy like him to back up, I think he'd run well with the second team, and I think that they would get a lot from him due to the fact that he plays very similar to Daniel Jones. Now for the last pick for the Giants mock draft, we have us getting an edge rusher in Tipa Galeai. I hope I said that right. Out of Utah State in the last pick of the 7th round for us, 247. We need an edge rusher, plain and simple. I don't think he's going to be a guy who's just you can throw in there and be our number one edge rusher right away. I hope that we get a guy like we're interested in Clowney, we're interested in Ngakoue. So I pray that we get somebody like that. But getting a guy like Galeai would be huge for us. I think that he had a very, very solid career with Utah State. Again, it's one of those Midwestern teams where it's like, how much are they going to be able to do? So their potential could be a little bit higher than what it could be. I liked how O'Shane Ximines played last year. I think Marcus Golden's not going to come back just because I think his value is a little bit higher than what we want to pay him. So getting a guy like Allier would be able to at least learn from the guys in the locker room, like our Leonard Williams, like whoever we sign. Even the young guys like Dexter Lawrence and Dalvin Tomlinson. They've done so much and they've progressed so much. Tomlinson and B.J. Hill, they were solid picks, but they weren't supposed to be as good as they have been so far. So for him to learn like that, maybe in a year or two, he'll be able to get out there and just be very, very solid for us. But that is going to be it for my 7-round mock draft for the Giants. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you're a Giants fan like me, let me know what your 7-round picks would be. For fan sites, I use fanspeak.com and I use the Draft Network. Those are the two best sites with simulators that I've found. But if you haven't already, leave a like on the video. If you didn't like the video, make sure to refresh the page, try it again, and see if you can give it a like the second time. Make sure to subscribe as well. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next video.